everyone, it's Mari here for Honeybee Stamps. I'm excited to announce that Honeybee has their brand new holiday wishes in the shop. I've linked up to it in the description box below. However, I have not received my design team package yet, so I am using older supplies to create this gorgeous card for you today. I'm going to be starting off showing you some of the products I'll be using, including the gorgeous Fall Flourish cover plate. I love this and I love the texture and detail it adds to your paper. I also am going to be using the Winter Greenery die set. This is a lovely layer set. You'll notice that there are a couple I'm going to point out here that I will be using on my project. I will use the Winter Birds lovely layers as well. The smaller bird on the set's the one I'll be focusing on. And the Art Deco stacking label dies is another set I'll use. I'll also use the Sweet Stacks rectangles, and I will be using the Autumn Bouquet die set as well. And lastly, I'll be using the gorgeous Heartfelt Hello Sentiment stamp and coordinating die set. I'm going to be using a lot of different products today from Honeybee Stamps. So let's get started with the card. I have some Ranger alcohol ink cardstock on my table here, and I'm going to just apply some isopropyl alcohol to that. And now I'm going to go in with some pink sherbet alcohol ink and just dab that where I have the isopropyl on the paper. I'll take my Tim Holtz blowing tool here just to move that around. You'll see how nicely that pigment flows where I have the isopropyl alcohol. Now what I really wanted to achieve here is some lighter and darker hues, and of course I also want to retain some of the white space. So you'll notice I'm not going to go all the way to the edge, and I do also try to blow harder in certain areas just to kind of separate the pink pigment a little bit out so that it does create some lights and darks. Now some of this is going to get covered up with the paper I'm putting over top, but I'm making it as if that's not going to happen. I just want to create sort of like a really pretty piece, and then I'll work with it from there. Now this is some alloy from Ranger. This one's called Gilded. I have gone ahead and added that to the paper. I should have actually added the isopropyl first and then put the alloy down, but anyways, it does still move around the way that I have done this, but it just gets a little bit more concentrated in the center when you do it this way. Now, if you find that your alloy doesn't dry really 100% perfectly dry, you can always take a little bit of paper towel after the alcohol ink has dried, as in the color alcohol ink, and then you can just take your paper towel and rub it over top and kind of like burnish off any extra pigment that's just sitting on the top, and then it'll just be fine and everything will be ready to go. So you can just see I'm going ahead and adding a little more isopropyl, a little more ink, just to kind of, move things around a little bit, separate the color until I'm happy with how this looks. I love working with alcohol ink. It's so much fun. It's super quick and easy to do, actually. It might look more complicated when you look at the piece when it's finished, but it's actually really easy to do. Now I have one of my Sweet Stacks rectangles. This one's slightly smaller than an A2 size, and I'm going to go ahead. I took that to my die cutting machine, trimmed that out, and now I've grabbed one of the Art Deco label stacking dies that's slightly smaller than that rectangle, and that's just going to create this focal point for my project. So you can see how nicely that lays over top to create that beautiful overlay on the alcohol ink piece. I'm going to take my Honeybee liquid adhesive and go ahead and adhere the alcohol piece onto a top folding A2 size white card base. I'm just adhering that flat onto that card base in that way. I'll give it a really good press just by pressing on the back side of the paper. And once that's all nicely adhered, I'm ready to move on to the next step. I'll just show you here how nicely that is just going to look. Now, I did want to add some detail to the Art Deco label piece. I'm going to take that Fall Flourish cover plate and run that through my die cutting machine, and it's just going to add that extra texture. Now, I added some skinny strips of foam adhesive to the sides of the paper on the back, and it's just a little bit thicker than my 1/2" Altenew foam tape. So I did double up my Altenew foam tape here so that it's the same thickness as those skinny strips on this side. And so I just go ahead and cut little pieces of tape that match in size. And now I'm just going to go ahead and take the adhesive off the paper off the adhesive and add a little bit of liquid adhesive onto the foam tape so that when I go to add this onto my card front, I can just wiggle it around and wiggle it into place. Once I've got that adhered where I want that, I'm going to start working on my little bird. Now I did die cut all of my little winter bird pieces out of a dark gray, medium gray, and a light gray, as well as white. And so the base for the bird is that I would call that the medium gray color. This next piece, the second layer, I did in white. And then this piece here with the longest tail feather there, I did in a light gray. And then the last piece is the dark gray. And I just used gray cardstock from my scraps. I'm not sure what colors of cardstock from what company these are. I mix my cardstocks from the different companies. I've got some Spellbinders in here. I have some Concord and Ninth, some Hammermill cardstock, just whatever I had in my scrap bin. And you can see how easy these are to layer up. I'm going to just go ahead and put the darkest layer to show that cap for the little bird's head and chest as the top piece. And then I'll go ahead and add the little eye and beak in a minute. So I'm just going to get those all in place. And now I'll just take a little dot of my liquid adhesive from Honeybee for the eye. And I'll just pick up the little eye dot there with one of my craft tools here. The eye piece is black. And so you can see that, well, maybe you can't see well on the camera. Hopefully you can. The cap of the bird's head is that dark gray, and then that black for the eye just shows up really nicely. And then I decided to cut the bird's beak from some pink cardstock that kind of matches the color of the alcohol ink that I've used here. So you'll just see me here picking that up and adding that to that little dot of glue. I'll use the pokey tool end of my craft tool here just to get that little beak positioned. So that's where I thought I would put my little bird on the project. And then I took my greenery dies. So I did the winter greenery, those 2 white sprigs, and then the autumn bouquet, that leafery piece there from some brushed gold cardstock from Spellbinders. I've just added those together. So I've got the larger winter greenery at the back, then the gold autumn bouquet leafery, and then that top winter greenery piece is the smaller winter greenery piece there. And I've just adhered those together with a glue dot. And now you'll see how I'm going to position those. I've popped the bird up on some foam adhesive. And now I'll just take those greenery pieces and just lift those out because they're not adhered yet. I'll put some tiny little pieces of foam adhesive on the back so that they have a little bit of dimension as well. And I'll add that in behind that sweet little bird just to make it look like that little bird is lighting on top of those greenery pieces. I think that's really sweet. I like how that looks. This definitely could be a holiday themed card. You could definitely put a holiday sentiment on this. It kind of does have a wintry feel for sure. I did go in with some clear stickles, sparkly stickles from Ranger. Off camera, I thought of this after I created it. Actually, when I was about to take the photos of the project, I added a little bit of stickles to the white greenery pieces just to add a little bit of sparkle and shine, and it does really pick up nicely in the light. I'm not sure if you can see it in the still photo. You can check out the still photo at the end of the video because I did click it into the end as well. Now, I do have the heartfelt hello sentiment already stamped out. I did stamp this with black ink, and I put a little bit of clear embossing powder over top of the black ink and heat embossed it just to give it a little bit of shine and dimension. I'm going to add a little bit of foam adhesive strips onto the back of the sentiment. Then I'm just grabbing my tweezers so that I can get that placed exactly where I want that above our sweet little bird in that arch of that Art Deco label. If you don't have those Art Deco label dies, I love those. You should grab them because they're amazing. I have linked up in the description box, friends, to all of the different products from Honeybee Stamps. Thank you so much for joining me today. Have an amazing day. And if you haven't subscribed, we'd love to have you as a subscriber. Like this video and share as well. Have an amazing day, friends, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.